Welcome to the Otsumami Party Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Saya.
We both grew up in different countries. Where are you from, Saya?
I'm from Japan. Where are you from, Ian?
I'm from the US. In this podcast, we'll discuss fun little interesting things about vastly different cultures, daily lives living in different cities, and other fun, interesting topics.
During our time together, we invite you to grab some otsumami or finger food of your own and join us for a fun, cozy time. Enjoy!
Due to some unforeseen circumstances, the next episode and possibly the one after that are going to be delayed by a week or two. So please hang in there, and in the meantime, enjoy this episode. Welcome to Otsumami Party. What's up, Saya? What you eating?
I am eating French fried potatoes. And
French fried potatoes.
Yeah. It's twisted because I got it from Twisters.
I see. How was Twisters? What did you get at Twisters?
I got number 4 Albuquerque breakfast burrito with a fry and Sierra mist.
What I find fascinating about breakfast burritos in New Mexico is that they were invented there. And so New Mexico has taken the breakfast burrito and expanded upon it. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, and you can get smothered, which is all of the salsa and the peppers and chili and all that just poured all over the top of it with the cheese, and it's so messy, but it's so delicious.
Yeah, depending on the shops, but yeah, it's pretty good. And chilies, red chilies, green chilies.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like a native local people, you can just say Christmas to get both green chili and red chili on top.
Yeah, Christmas is my favorite.
Me too. It's pretty good.
Good. I'm glad that you had the chance to get a breakfast burrito this morning.
Yeah.
I know you've been mentioning that you want one.
What are you eating or drinking?
I'm not drinking anything today. I just finished my first cup of coffee because it's earlier on in the day than we normally record. But I am munching on Costco goldfish.
Goldfish.
I'm almost sick of them, but they're the only snack I have in my house right now.
Yeah.
I do have food to cook with, but I don't have any snacks.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I'm thinking today we're just going to move along with the episode. It might be a shorter episode.
That's all right.
I'm eager to get started and hear what word you have to teach me.
Okay. So the word for today is chimpunkampu.
What?
Chimpunkampu.
Shimpum-kampum.
Yeah, that's just a funny onomatopoeia kind of word.
What's it mean?
So the sound describes that you may have in the head when something doesn't make sense to you. So it's just showing the sound that nothing is making sense to you. So if you were talking about something very difficult with a lot of terminologies that I've never heard, but you were just constantly talking, and then I would say, oh my gosh, that story is so chimpankampu to me.
Oh, interesting.
It's I'm chimpankampu now, you know?
Yeah.
It's not super common, but if somebody is saying something really doesn't make sense to you, or just to him or her making sense, but just constantly talking about something that they're into things. But
I think it's really applicable because we have been going through school. I just finished DMA or doctorate, and you're in the middle of doctorate, so it's it really relates to our lives.
Yeah. If professor is talking about something but super complicated idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's always what? You have to
Yeah.
pretend to know what you're talking about, but you don't.
Yeah. So that's the word.
It's funny that you chose that word because I chose the word gobbledygook.
Okay.
Gobbledygook.
What does that mean?
Language that is meaningless or is made unintelligible by excessive use of abstruse technical terms or nonsense.
Okay.
So it could be the word that you just taught us. Like if the professor is talking and using like a lot of terms that you don't know, or like if you're reading an article from a long time ago where people decided that the hardest English words are the most cultured,
Yeah.
you know, that could be gobbledygook. Or
That's interesting. Yeah.
or gibberish. Gibberish could
Okay.
also be gobbledygook.
The same meaning.
Gibberish is like a language that doesn't have any meaning. Or like if I went that's gibberish.
I see.
Or if I'm saying like a string of words that like literally does not make sense. That's gibberish.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it was very interesting that we both chose those words today because
Yeah.
they really relate to each other.
That's true. That's true.
Have you experienced this recently?
Not recently, I think. Do you?
Not recently, but when I hear these words, the first memory that comes to mind is when I was at music school for my master's. I was in this class. It was a seminar over, early 20th century atonal music.
Okay.
And there was one article that our professor wrote, and I would always read and help lead discussion. And this other guy in my class would also read and help lead discussion. So we were kind of like the head of the class in a way. And I went home, I read it. It took me like 4 hours to read like 50 pages just because of how dense it was.
Yeah.
And I got to class and I was feeling so stupid. I didn't understand any of it. I didn't know. And I was worried that like when I go in, like everyone will know what the guy was talking about except for me. And like, and then I walk in and the other guy who was leading the help, kind of like head of class, he looked at me and he goes, "Did you understand any of that?" And I said, "No." "Did you?" He goes, "No." And so we both sat down and we felt much better after that because now we had an argument to not discuss the thing or to have the teacher lead the discussion. Right. So we both sat down and we looked at the teacher and we're like, "I'm sorry, neither of us understood." And he goes, "Yeah, I was kind of afraid that was going to happen." But it was so funny. That was definitely gobbledygook. And what was the word?
Chimpunkampen.
Sinpun kanpun?
Chimpunkampen. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's Editor Ian here. I wanted to come on here and say that, yes, I know that it is chinpun kanpun, not senpun kanpun. The reason for the confusion was the mic quality over Zoom made it hard to distinguish between the ch sound and the s sound. So for me, over Zoom, it sounded like senpun kanpun. Sorry about that. Please don't be too frustrated with me. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the episode. Yeah. So it was definitely gobbledygook and senpun kanpun. It was so funny. But yeah, that's my story relating to this.
I think when I started the master's in the States, all of the reading homeworks and assignments are like chimpunkampen to me, or gibbledygook, because I mean, like, it's a little complicated or a little long, but the more you read, the more you just lost. Kind of. Especially if it's long and then, like, I'm not good at concentrating. When, if one sentence or two sentences are far at the beginning doesn't make sense to me, I was like, just like all of my energy to read would be gone,
Yeah.
So I think kind of my way, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but my way of reading a bit, just like find the keywords or like keywords for that class. And then just like, if it's provided by PDF, you just like search for that word and then read the paragraph and then like going back to the paragraph before that paragraph, before the words, so that I can have it like in sections instead of like reading from the page 1 to page 50, I think I liked the way to read like into different sections and coming back at the end.
That's interesting.
Because, I mean, I don't have concentration. I can't focus on the things once I started, like, not feeling like reading it.
You know what I would do if I didn't feel like reading it? And, you know, you have an excuse of it not being your native language.
Yeah.
But if I didn't feel like reading it, so when I was a kid, I would read every other line. And obviously that didn't work.
Yeah.
When I had, like, recently when I had a lot of reading to do and I didn't want to do it, I would wait till the last minute. I would procrastinate, right? And then I'd get up like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock the morning of, sit by my fireplace in my apartment and just bundle up with a blanket and just read. And that also didn't work because I would get so sleepy. I get so sleepy and then like read half of it, go to sleep and be like, oh, I can finish the other half in an hour. So what I'll do is I'll sleep until this time.
Yeah.
And get up and speed read it and then go to class.
Yeah.
It worked maybe 8% of the time.
I mean, like, typically it is said that, like, morning would be like your minds are clear and you can read better.
I mean, that would be the case if I didn't stay up till 3 a.m. the previous night.
That's true. That's very true.
And school was a fever dream.
True. Every time I read English sentences or, like, English books or article, I feel like I don't get anything. And then, like, even, like, when I'm talking to somebody in English, I'm like, am I making sense? Like, I don't understand. I don't know if I'm understanding, you know?
Wait, what do you mean by that? I don't really understand. No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. Gosh. Yeah, but, like, there's sometimes, like, I just, like, suddenly think that, like, nothing in my mind doesn't make sense to anybody. Or, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. Sometimes I'm like that, but with, like, academic speech. Sometimes I'll be, like, describing something to my students or, like, you know, a higher concept in a class or whatever, and I would be explaining it. In the middle, I'll be like, what am I even saying? I don't even know what my point is. And I just, like, turn off my brain that's, like, paying attention to my talk and just, like, keep going.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got me through school. People seem to know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, speaking of school years versus these years, or whatever, I want to go to the topic for today.
Okay, let's go.
So I wanted to talk to you, since we both have experience in this, the differences between different parts of the country, mainly the difference between the West Coast and the East Coast.
In the States?
Yes.
Okay.
And how it might compare to your country.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So I grew up in the South, almost Midwest in Oklahoma. Okay. And I went to my undergrad in Oklahoma. And so I was really familiar with that whole Southern hospitality / you know, passive aggressiveness that a lot of people in the Midwest / the South have. You know, it's like, oh, bless your heart, you know, which means like, that's not a good thing. Right. So if like somebody comes up to you and be like, oh, you look tired, bless your heart, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It means that you really don't look good.
Yeah.
Or like if you do something stupid, like, you know, you are clumsy or whatever, and to be like, oh, you're not all there, bless your heart. You know, the phrase bless your heart takes the bad thing that they say and makes it sound nicer. But, like, the meaning of what they're saying...
Yeah, but, like, it's very ironic.
Yeah, it's like the meaning of what they're saying is still there.
Yeah.
You know? So, what is your experience with that? Have you come across that?
Yeah, I think... I mean, I spent time in Oregon for 3 years and now in New Mexico for almost, like, 2 years-ish. I don't get much, like, passive-aggressive part from Southwest-ish, but at the same time, I don't go out much, you know, other than with my friends and colleagues. So, you know, but when I traveled to the East Coast, I definitely found that they talk really fast or, like, straightforward.
Yeah.
Instead, I mean, like, on the other hand, like, West Coast, it's more, like, chill and very slow talking, and I feel like time is a little slower. They're more, like, open-minded, friendly. In a way. There's one colleague in my office who is from the East Coast. And she's a very nice person. She's great. But the way she talks, sometimes like really straightforward. And then like, if she doesn't like it, she kind of just say it. I mean, like, she cares, and it's not a mean way, but she just say it.
Right.
Like, straight. So, I mean, like, it's okay, but like, if I'm used to the West way, they would be more like, in a way, polite or like more friendly, not straightforward.
Right.
Wrap things up a little bit. So that's like more like I'm used to. But like she's a little straightforward, and that it's a little, I don't know, could be harsh sometimes. Or like I was talking with my other colleagues that like, yeah, like she tells somebody near my colleagues that I'm talking about too straightforward, but like, well, he doesn't care much, so he's fine. But
yeah,
I don't know if we were. So it's a little different. I think like the way they talk in West versus in the East Coast is a little different.
I heard something online that I thought was pretty true. I mean, of course, there are exceptions, but the overall thought is that on the West Coast, people are nice but not kind. But people on the East Coast are kind but not nice. And, you know, there are, of course, exceptions. But, you know, like I find that that's true. The example that this person gave, I don't remember who it was, but it was somebody talking about it. The example that this person gave is that if you're in the South or on the West Coast or whatever, and your wheel blows out on the side of the road, you know, if they, you know, chances are people are going to drive by and be like, hey, good luck, you know, on the West Coast. He's like, hey, good luck, you know, I'm praying for you. Good luck. But, like, they won't, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
But on the East Coast, somebody might come by and be like, you idiot, why did you not change your tires sooner? You got to learn how to do it. Here, you know, move out. I got to show you how it's done. And then they'll help you.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's true.
Yeah. I feel like for the most part, it is true. Like people who like you will be more inclined to do stuff for you on the East Coast, but they'll gripe about it the whole time, or like you know, they won't act nice about it, you know. And in places, especially Philly, you know, people like to act tough here. And so if they like you, you may not know that they like you until it's time for them to help you. But
that's funny.
But at the same time, like, I do get a lot of, like, that Southern hospitality feeling here in Philly, you know, like that family feeling.
Well, that could be like big city versus smaller city, too.
Yeah, I do think that it's a big city versus smaller city thing to an extent, but I do believe that the East Coast has, you know, New York City and Philadelphia, and on the eastern side of the country we have Chicago, you know, but the West Coast has LA, and, you know, the western side of the country has Phoenix, and the South has San Antonio, Dallas, you know, and so it's like I haven't visited anywhere else of those cities. Like, I've only visited New York, LA briefly, Chicago briefly, and I live in Philadelphia and Dallas. So it's like the East Coast cities definitely have a unique thing. You know, like I've been to Dallas, I've been to LA, and no one speaks as directly as in New York City and in Philly. And Chicago even. Chicago's, I mean, I don't know, even more than Chicago.
Do you think climate is something to do with it?
No. I wonder if age has something to do with it. Because Philadelphia was founded in like the 1680s or something. Yeah, 1682 was when it was founded. You know, so Philadelphia used to be the country capital, and then New York, you know, with all the immigrants and stuff like that. So I wonder if it has to do with the age and like how long it's been established. But I don't know. I could be totally wrong. That is just a hunch. But yeah, I'd say the East Coast is very direct and very, you know, some people might call it rude. But the longer I live here, the more I realize it's not rude. It's just, you know, you gotta be fast paced to live here. And the West Coast, my experience with the West Coast is there's a lot of like things that people tell you, and then the way that they mean it are two completely different things. So like if somebody says, for example, yeah, you're good at playing the violin, and then they might turn around and tell their friend he's not actually good at playing the violin. Whereas in Philly, they'll tell you straight to your face, yeah, you're pretty good, but ...
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
that's kind of my experience. And in Oklahoma, like I said, that they would tell you, it's kind of like a weird mixture, I think. They would tell you the truth, but in a way that's trying not to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of dumb, bless your heart. Like, the bless your heart is meant to, like...
That's kind of to, like, make it feel better.
Yeah, right? It's like, you're kind of dumb. Hey, bless your heart. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's so simple. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of my experience with this, and that's kind of like what I wanted to discuss, because when you and I first drove into Pennsylvania, our first interaction with somebody was, checking into a hotel, and they were like, do you have your address or something? And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, is he mad? And he's like, have you been here before? It's like, no, I haven't. And he goes, well, let me give you some recommendations. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then my first experience at a coffee shop in Philadelphia was, I guess they were visitors to Philadelphia, but they were in line before me, and they're like, I want, what's in this? What do I want? And then the cashier was like tapping his foot and tapping his finger on the desk, like really impatient. And then when they got finished with their order, I went up and I was like, I want a coffee and a chicken sandwich. And the guy goes, you got it, sir. It's like so different.
Yeah, so if you're not like fluent in English and like don't feel like rushed, maybe you should start with in the West Coast instead of East Coast.
Right.
They're more like chill and patient, I think.
Or at least on the outside, yeah.
Yeah.
And another reason behind this, I've been thinking, could be the fact that the more nature there is, the more at peace people seem to be. So on the West Coast, it's all nature-based, like lots of cliffs, lots of forests, lots of mountains, lots of ocean, lots of,
In the East Coast, is that?
West Coast, I meant.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I said East Coast or West Coast, but I meant West Coast. In the West Coast, there's like lots of nature, lots of, hiking, lots of outdoor activity, lots of health, lots of... and then people are nicer. Whereas on the East Coast, it's really like man-made, like big cities, a lot of concrete, very little greenery, and then people seem to be a little bit more miserable.
Yeah, that could be something.
How is it in Japan?
Yeah, we do kind of divide into two, even though Japan is so small compared to the States. But, yeah, we divide into, like, East and West, basically. And the East be, like, pointing like Tokyo-ish area, which is very big city. So Tokyo is the biggest city. And, urbanized and very, fast. Kind of like New York City kind of feeling, I think. But instead, the West would be the second biggest city in Japan would be the Osaka. So Osaka is just famous for like comedy stuff, or funny stuff. So I think people in Tokyo are more like straightforward. It's just like East Coast, and then the West side would be more like chill and friendly and funny, open to everybody. So like the things that typically said would be like if you fall down the stairs or like if you fall down on the road, it's kind of embarrassing, right? It's like as an adult. And then like in the East Coast, if you do that not East Coast, I mean if it's in Tokyo, everybody just ignores you and then just walk by, probably.
It's kind of like New York.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That might be the part that's like big city versus...
Yeah, but like Osaka is still a big city, but like they're like born to comedian. Like everybody could be a comedian in Osaka. Well, like the feelings.
Tokyo is like the biggest city in the world.
I mean, in 1600 or 1700, yeah, like Tokyo used to call Edo was the largest population, had the largest population all over the world,
Mm.
probably. But I don't know if it's the biggest. I mean, it's a big city, but...
Well, Tokyo is the biggest city by population
okay.
in 2024, and Osaka is number 10
Are you talking about in Japan or what?
in the world.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Population density, you mean?
No, just by population, like number of people.
That's crazy.
I know.
More than New York?
Oh, yeah. New York's not even in the top 10.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, I think New York has about 19 million almost, and Tokyo has 37 million, and Osaka has like 100,000 people more than New York.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And it dropped
Really?
from last year. But like,
Yeah, I mean...
it might be like what you were talking about, just like the difference between Tokyo and Osaka as like the biggest cities. But at the same time, like Osaka is bigger than New York, and you still would be, people would notice you falling on the street.
Yeah, Osaka people would make fun of you.
Right.
They would like laugh at you, and then that makes him or her like feel sound comfortable, kind of.
Yeah.
Like everybody laughs at you. What you doing? Or like, what are you okay? What you doing? That's embarrassing. That kind of things, I think. So like people from Osaka goes to Tokyo, fall down. Mm-hmm. Nobody says anything. To them, that's more embarrassing. That's
I see. So I don't know if it's how big the city is, but I don't know. Like New York is more like Tokyo than it is Osaka, and both Osaka and Tokyo are bigger than New York.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy, but I think it's more like cultural differences.
Yeah, probably.
In Tokyo or like in East and West in Japan. We also have like differences of like food as well.
Okay.
The soy sauce in the East would be more salty, and the soy sauce in the West or like south from Osaka, which would be sweeter.
Yeah.
That's not one thing. The mochi that we usually use for like soup kind of things that we usually eat in January 1st, like the New Year's. We put the mochi, that's called zoni, by the way, but the West would be the circular mochi. But if we were in the East, you probably have like rectangular mochi.
I see. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that it was such a big difference, because when people in America refer to Japan, they think of Japan as one thing. Like, I'm traveling to Japan, and everybody's like, oh, great, have a good time. Because what they think is Japan is Tokyo.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that Japan is completely covered in the state of California, probably.
Yeah, but there's like so much difference in the between the prefectures and like the parts.
Yeah, but like, who knows the difference in the parts of India or like...
Yeah, I guess
even in the States.
Yeah, I guess if somebody has not been to the States, they would assume that everything in the States is like New York.
Yeah.
So
or like LA, either of them. So I think it's just like, that's why people should travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like, I think it's influenced a lot too, and broaden your horizons.
Yeah.
When you see differences, but...
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. I think that we should end the episode here unless you have something.
No, I just found a map that overlaps America and Japan.
Oh, yeah. So like a third of Japan is in Texas.
Yeah. Like the biggest island called Honshu that covers Tokyo and Osaka would be probably fits into California completely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd say about 3/4 of Japan could fit in. If you like took all of the islands on the south and just squished it together, you could fit maybe 3/4 of Japan in California. All of it definitely within California and Oregon.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's wild. Well, thank you for sharing, and thank you for talking with me about that. That's something I've wanted to talk about since we've both been in all three places, the East, the West, the South/Midwest area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I would love to hear from the listeners on what they find the differences between West and East.
Yeah, guys, please email us at otamamiparty@gmail.com if you have traveled in one or more of those areas, both in Japan and the U.S. We'd love to hear what other people think, and if what we say is completely wrong or spot on. We'd love to hear your experiences. So, well, Saya, thank you again, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you for listening to our podcast. We get our publicity mainly from word of mouth, so make sure to tell your friends about us. If you have something you would like us to talk about, or just want to say hi, you can send an email to otamamiparty@gmail.com. That is otsumamiparty@gmail.com. And please sign the email with the unique username.
Please let us know what you think of the podcast and where you are tuning in from as well, and we may mention it in our next episode. Tune in next week.
See ya.